The basic guideline for people who've been dieting too long, if you've gone low carbohydrate for an extended period of time, more than 2 weeks, if you've been on a diet more than 2-3 weeks, this is the setup I suggest going into the basic guide. So the trick is, I want you to eat carbs for an extended period of time to convince the body that fat is not its main source of energy. We must trick the body into thinking that carbohydrates are actually the main source. We do this by having a week or two of high carbohydrate, a few days in particular, shock days, where the carbohydrates are at a very high rate. This is to ramp up the metabolism, shock the system, and it has no choice but to ramp the energy levels as high as it can to expend the energy from the carbohydrates. In doing this, we ramp up the metabolism. Metabolism equals fat loss. We want to trick the body, get it going as high and hard as possible, and then we hit it with our strategic cut days. On my plan, there's actually almost more cheat days than there are cut days because we really want to get the ball rolling and keep our metabolism as high as possible, knowing we can go a little bit above our caloric maintenance. And on the cut days, we can cut an extreme amount. That way we lead to massive fat loss on the days we cut and little bits of fat gain on the days that we go over. Going low carb for a very long time really screws metabolism, as the body thinks that fat is its main source of energy. When the body realizes that fat is its main source of energy, it can understand and knows exactly how much fat is on the body. It's just like you with your budget. You know how much money you have in your bank account. If you realized one day there was a glitch and your card would buy anything in the world, you would probably go and spend a lot of money because you can. Well, assimilate this to the body. The body is very similar because when it realizes that the card is broken, it will spend as much energy as possible. Carbohydrates, when they're coming in at a seemingly infinite amount, the body will then ramp up the metabolism and it shifts its attention. It doesn't realize that fat is its main source. It thinks carbohydrates are. It no longer pays attention to the fat stores because it does not need them. But when the body realizes that carbohydrates are not the main source and fat is actually in fact the main source, it's going to say, hey, we only have this much fat. We have to manage it right, because if we run out of fat, we die. So we have to really make sure that we use this energy wisely. The body's not about, it doesn't like expending tons of energy. It likes conserving energy. Energy is life. And your body is very disciplined and very, very responsible when it comes to its energy output. You never want your body to think that fat is its main source of energy. This is why the keto diet and the Atkins diet, they always fail, because you will lose the weight. The body realizes the fat is still the main currency being used, and your weight loss will eventually start to slow. People hear starvation mode, all of these things. These things have been taken way out of context. A person who is doing a strategic cut, if they are only losing 2 to 3 pounds in 1 week, this means their metabolism is slowing down and they really need to ramp it up, because those 2 to 3 pounds a week will slowly turn into 1 to 2 pounds a week. And then eventually you'll barely see any weight loss at all. And what happens is your hormones like leptin and ghrelin get way out of whack. You start to experience irrational hunger pains, mood swings, lack of energy, depression. All of this is from having your blood sugar too low for too long. Your testosterone will take a dive, because without all that glucose, your body is not able to produce as much testosterone. Your energy levels will plummet. That's why I advise a higher carbohydrate plan, where only 1 day out of the week do we go low carb. The rest of the week, we're eating moderate to high carbohydrates. Your body is far from dumb. Even if it gets plenty of carbs but not enough for it to be shocked, and it still knows fat is its main fuel, it will know exactly how much fat is in the tank, and it will eventually slow. Your body is not so smart, however, to realize high carbohydrate one day, low calorie the next. Its metabolism is going to be ramped up at an all-time high from the carbohydrates, and when you go low calorie the next day, you're going to burn a significant amount of fat on that second day. Notice I didn't say high carbohydrate, low carbohydrate, because the goal is not to lower our carbohydrates. The goal is to ramp up the metabolism, then lower the calories. We do this with prolonged fast, meaning instead of a 5 hour after you wake up, break your fast, you push it to 6 to 7 to 8 hours. Eventually, as you progress, you're going to be able to do that, especially if you're not resistant to things like caffeine and you're getting an adequate amount of water. For people just starting out, you may be severely overweight like I was. You may have no motivation, no energy, and really do not ever see yourself getting the body of your dreams. This is not your fault, believe it or not. You've just been misinformed. There's a few key steps that will change your entire energy level and mindset within a week. If you can properly hydrate yourself, take multivitamins, take omega-3s, do all the steps in this guide. That first week, when you're starting out and you feel overwhelmed, I don't want you to change anything. I want you to eat how you normally eat, do what you normally do. I only ask that you increase your water intake dramatically, take omega-3s and multivitamins, and get out of the house and walk for 10-20 minutes each day during that first week. After that first week, I can guarantee you're going to feel a difference. You're going to have more energy than you had before. You're going to have a little bit more motivation than you had before. It's all about baby steps. This second week, I want you to wake up, drink 1 liter of water, have 1 fish oil cap, or a little bit of chia seed. An hour after waking, I want you to drink a little bit of coffee or have a cup of unsweetened tea. If you don't like caffeine, this isn't necessary. I just find that caffeine helps me prolong my fast and is an effective tool when it's not overused. Keep in mind, when taking something like coffee or tea, I always do it on an empty stomach, and after I've broken my fast for the day, I no longer have any caffeine. The reason for this is I find the caffeine has a diminishing effect once we have eaten and it's later in the day. For people who've become resistant to caffeine, this is going to be huge because once you become sensitive to caffeine, it actually does its job and you really don't need to have caffeine all day long. 1, 2, maybe 3 cups of coffee max, depending on how long your fast is. And I would never have 3 cups of coffee unless I was performing an extraordinary long fast, something like 20 hours. For someone who's just starting out and you're going to be skipping breakfast, I recommend only having 1 cup of coffee. It's going to be hard for someone who is overweight, resistant to caffeine, insulin resistant. It's going to be hard and it's going to take a lot of work to reverse all of that. But it is very doable, and the quickest fix is learning how to intermittent fast, learning how to strategically fast. There's no quicker fix for the body's hormones than to fast. It'll also get all that extra built up food out of your intestines. People don't realize when you eat breakfast all the way through eating dinner, and it's all solid food, and then you go and wake up the next day and have breakfast again, a solid meal, you are still digesting food from the previous day. If you ate a steak for dinner last night and you wake up and you have a big breakfast, you have food rotting in your intestines. Not just digesting, there's actually food that rots in there because it's been in there for so long, especially your red meats. The clear-cut advantage to my approach to fasting is we keep it liquid for as long as possible. This quickly accelerates the digestion process. It takes much less energy. The food is already liquid. It's already broken down. All the body has to do at that point is absorb it. Each day, following my guide, when you wake up the following day, your body, before you eat another meal, has completely digested all the food and all of the things from what you've had the previous day, keeping your intestines nice and clean. When you're drinking this much water, you're constantly flushing yourself out. When your urine is clear and you're having to urinate multiple times throughout the day, This is a sign that your intestines are nice and clear and clean. When you have a backup of a lot of food, you'll find that when you're not drinking enough water, your pee will actually have a yellow tint to it, and it'll have a slight smell. This is a sign that you are dehydrated and that your intestines are not cleared out. As the weeks progress, an example would be week 3. Upon waking up, we're going to be drinking the same liter of water, we're going to be eating the same fish oil, and we're going to drink tea or coffee at the same time. The only difference is now we're going to break our fast 4 hours after waking. By this 3rd week, you should find it a lot easier to reach this 4-hour mark. Now, if you're really tired and you're really not able to do it, go 3 hours. The point is, by week 3, you should be pushing yourself. You should give yourself permission to push yourself a little further to see how far you can really push this fast. Key things are, when you're first starting out, you want to find all the ways you can to fast. So if you're not that hungry at night, that'd be a good time to drink a lot of water and to kind of add to your fast the next day so you won't have to fast as long. Because if you eat earlier in the day previous, that means you don't have to wait as long to eat the following day to get a nice fast and to get your hormones regulated. By the end of the month, you should be able to follow the basic guide, eating 5 to 6 hours after waking and having that 1 to 2 days a week where we eat breakfast, and 1 day out of the week, that breakfast containing fast acting, simple to digest carbohydrates. As you can see here, we have the step-by-step guide. Drink 1 liter of water right when you get up. This wakes the metabolism up and it blunts hunger craving. It has a lot of other benefits too. Step 2, you want to take an omega-3, like a little bit of chia seed or a fish oil cap. No more than 60 calories. We don't want to break our fast. We want those healthy omega fats in our systems early for our brain. Step 3, 1 hour after waking, drink 1 more liter of water. And this has to do with blunting hunger cravings and overall getting our bodies very hydrated and into that flush mode that we want. Now, step 4 is optional, but I find it very optimal. 1 hour after waking, if you're to drink a cup of coffee or tea, no sugar, very light cream or butter if you choose. The reason for this is when you first wake up, your cortisol levels are very high, and cortisol will actually wake you up, makes you more alert. And we want to ride that wave where it subsides about an hour later. So if you can wait an hour to have your coffee, that's going to be very beneficial into thrusting you into the day, getting you as far as you can with your fast. Step 5, 6 to 7 hours after waking, drink your first protein shake. This is when we break our fast. When you're first starting out, 6 to 7 hours might be hard. So you can start out an hour and then go to 2 hours and then 3 hours and just kind of build up to it. And one day you'll be at 6 and 7 in no time, and you'll find it very easy. You want to break it with liquid, low carb, no sugar. We don't want to spike our insulin levels too greatly. Now, the insulin's going to be spiked with the 25 grams of protein, but if we keep it low carbohydrate and low sugar, and as low calorie as we can really have that insulin subside back down. And the benefits of liquid are very numerous because liquid is very easy to digest, and it's going to be one of the most efficient ways to get your protein in a very low calorie manner that's easy to digest. When going into our workouts, we don't want our bodies to be filled with food, and we certainly don't want our body to be digesting food. We need all the energy we possibly can to go into our workouts to get the maximum gain from our workouts. 2 hours after our first shake, we drink another 25 gram shake, low carb. The point is to stay liquid, easy to digest, so the body can digest all the nutrients before the workout. The main premise here is we're really trying to keep it liquid, low carb. We don't want to spike our insulin before our workout. We want to keep the fat burning at an all-time high. In order to do that, we have to have low carbohydrates, high protein. Liquid is the best. If you can't have liquid, you can have things like eggs or chicken, some other substitute if you're vegetarian. The point is to find easy to digest proteins. About 30 minutes to 1 hour before your workout, you're going to want to have about 20 to 25 grams of protein in a shake. Low carb. 30 minutes to 1 hour after your second shake, you work out and drink 1 liter of water during the workout. Now, about an hour after your workout, you want to have your big solid meal. This can be basically whatever you want. If you want to lose more weight, you're going to want to cut the carbs back a little bit. But I find that you can still be very satisfied and have a nice meal even though you have some carbs here. Now, keep in mind, you just had a big post-workout meal. You can make this meal the last meal of the night and break it into 2 meals. It's very customizable. I, for right now, just set it like this. You have your big meal, an hour to 2 later, you have another solid meal, or you could be a shake if you had a big solid meal for your post-workout. So whatever you did post-workout is really going to dictate this meal. If you had a shake post-workout, then this is going to be your big solid meal. If you had a big solid meal after your workout, then this is going to be your shake. By this time, you've consumed 100 grams of proteins via shake and 40 to 60 grams of protein via solid meal, depending on what you ate. You can make up the other 70 grams, or depending on how big you are, you judge it by having about 0.6 to 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. I usually make this up if I haven't hit my macro yet with something that is just going to be easy to eat, easy to digest. It's usually a shake because at this time I'm not very hungry anyway. And the thing about this setup is you still have to hit your macros. So you find yourself actually having to eat more than you really want to, and you still lose weight. When you're going through this program and you've never actually fasted and working out hasn't been something that you're really used to and accustomed to and applied to your life, as the weeks go by, especially at first, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very tough. There's going to be times where you may not feel right. You may be a little sore, or you may feel like that you absolutely can't go without breakfast. This is the gut check. This is the time that you go in with the knowledge beforehand, knowing that it's okay to be sore and it's okay to crave breakfast during the first couple of weeks. As the body adjusts, it's like switching gears in a car. And when you switch to the right gear, that fasted gear, you're going to realize that you no longer crave breakfast. It'll be actually the exact opposite. During shock days, I find myself only able to eat a few cookies in the morning. And this is a time when I should be having pancakes and pigging out. It's one of the flaws that I found because my body becomes so adapted to fasting. That's why it's very key to have that 1 day a week at least where you do not fast. Because the body, if you trust me, will switch gears and eating breakfast will become a thing of the past. Some tips I found, because most people sit at a chair and work out of an office nowadays for a living, is sitting too long can actually greatly prohibit your fat loss. The reason being is you're going to be pinching the nerves and restricting the blood flow to your entire body. It also, people who don't have expensive chairs or maybe sitting improper develop bad back alignments, and they'll develop what you call the Donald Duck posture. This is where your butt sticks out slightly and your stomach pokes out slightly. I know people with six packs, but yet when they have a shirt on, they actually look a little skinny fat because their belly pokes out. But when they lift their shirts, they have a six pack. This is because of the damage they've done to their lower back by sitting incorrectly for too long. It's a very simple fix. What I recommend is stand for at least 5 minutes every hour. Then, if you can, move that 5 minutes to every 30 minutes. And that would be the ultimate goal. Every 30 to 40 minutes, get up, walk around for 5 minutes. If you can go outside, that would be great. And when you take your break, don't just stand still, because you can develop varicose veins and strain your joints. The goal here is to move around to get the blood flowing and to just be in motion. Another good tip would be do some body weight squats every other hour, 5 or 10, nothing too extreme. Just really stretch the lower hamstrings and get those veins and legs stretched out. Hip flexor stretches are very good. They're really good at combating that bad posture and promoting sucked in belly and sucked in butt. So all the basics of this is we're trying to strategically gain weight and strategically cut weight in a manner to where we're going to have a greater weight loss than we do weight gain. You can't be afraid to gain weight. You're going to gain 2 or 3 pounds some week. That is a very good thing if you know how to strap down that following week and you know how to cut properly. It isn't just going in a deficit forever until you collapse and then getting fat and then doing it all over again. That's extreme and so unnecessary. You only need one guide for the rest of your life. There is no other. This isn't a diet. This is a lifestyle change. I don't like the term diet because diet is something you buy and then it goes out. It's dispensable. It's not lasting or permanent. When you hear diet, you think of exactly that. You think of going on a diet for a little while. This is not a diet. This is a lifestyle change. And the quicker you are able to educate yourself, because this is your body. This is the most important thing in your entire life. Without your body, you are nothing. You're not going to have energy. You're not going to feel good. You're not going to have the confidence. You're not going to be able to have the energy to spend with your family and friends. It leaks over to all aspects of life. You don't understand how changing your body will change your entire life. All you need is the right information. There is no diets. Never going on a diet again. That's what you should tell yourself. You're going to change your eating behavior to the correct behavior, because 5 meals a day is only going to make you fatter by the day. So next time you go and you buy a diet plan and you're going to spend your hard-earned money, really have them break it down for you. Really have them, because if they're trying to sell you a variety of foods that are candy bars or shakes or whatever, what have you, and they say this is what you have to eat to lose weight, bull. Don't do it. It's a scam. It's absolutely, positively wrong. You can eat whatever you want as long as you restrict when you eat it. You don't eat as much during the day, but you eat a lot more in the strategic window. So you're eating as much. You're going to be able to eat pizza and hamburgers until you go to a buffet and eat as much as you possibly can. But as long as we're eliminating breakfast and lunch and making the most part of the day liquid, we're going to be able to literally eat what we want. And once you've adapted to this, you realize that, hey, I don't get hungry after one day. My hormones are balanced. So I'm able to go 3, 4 p.m. without eating, no problem. And guess what? It's 4 p.m. Most people by that time have already consumed 2,000 calories. If you're talking about breakfast, brunch, lunch, and a snack, lucky if they're at 2,000 calories. You have consumed 0. So when you eat, you can have a 1,500 calorie meal and another 600 to 700 calories in shakes. This is going based off my body weight and my size. That would put me at 2,200 calories. A 1,500 calorie meal, that is a whole pizza. That is a Big Mac with fries and a giant Coke. That's a lot of food. And if you use it wisely and you're not eating Big Macs and fries, but you turn that into chicken and rice, you would not even be able to consume 1,500 calories in one meal. You'd be lucky to get 800 to 1,000 before you're so full you feel pregnant. My girlfriend, before we go to sleep, will ask if I'm pregnant because I eat so much. I don't like not eating. I didn't do this to lose weight in a bad manner, or I would still be fat. I enjoy being happy. I enjoy food, and I don't enjoy having to count calories and restrict myself in any way possible. I just so happen to, through trial and error, find an eating pattern that really works, and I can literally stuff my face at any place I want. I can drink alcohol. I don't have to restrict myself as long as I'm balanced and within reason and know the information beforehand and paying attention to my body. I can literally get away with anything.